Wow, it was a great day, wasn't it? Was it useful for you? I certainly learned a few things today. Before I go into the final remarks themselves, let me take 2 minutes to tell you about the Web Summit. Because you know there's going to be a Web Summit in Lisbon in November, right? Yeah, more or less. 2 things about that. Why it is important for us, Turismo de Portugal, that it takes place, why were we so involved in getting it to Lisbon, and what we are going to do to make the event as meaningful and as useful as possible. It is important for us, not just because it will mean perhaps 35 or 40,000 people in a city of Lisbon and thereabouts over the course of a week. Yes, it generates a lot of room nights, but that wouldn't be enough. Yes, it's important because it's a sign of innovation and modernity and all these things that we like, but it wouldn't be enough to motivate us as it did. The real reason why the Web Summit is important to us is because, like most of you that attend this type of entrepreneurship events, the energy that transpires out of these things, the freedom that you feel, the imagination, the creativity that's around the rooms, and multiply this room by 20 or 30 and you get an idea of how much of a buzz this creates, projects an image of a destination that is also attractive. So at the end, the Web Summit is for us. This is why we're so keen on bringing it over. For us, it's a marketing tool. It's to say this is a country where not only you feel at home when you're at leisure, because people are friendly and we welcome foreigners and tourists like nobody else, but because you're also free to create, to construct something creatively and productively. So the Web Summit is going to be one of the marketing tools, and if you look at it closely, you'll see that some of the values that this type of events projects are the same as the one projected by surfing events, or by music festivals, or other activities in which freedom, creativity, collaboration, a sense of harmony transpires. So I want that to be clear because many times we are asked why certain events merit our support and our attention and others do not. The reason is why, because basically this is a communication tool and a very, very, very powerful one at that. But it's only a communication tool if you do something with it, really something. So I can announce to you today that we are preparing, and I would probably announce that it were already underway if we had a government to approve it. But since today we may have a prime minister, so perhaps we'll have a government in a few days. We are preparing something called the Road to the Web Summit. And the Road to the Web Summit will take place all over the country. A number of regional accelerators with the prestigious collaboration of BETA and other of our partners that throughout the country will generate a sort of a regional championship in which the big prize is going to be to come to the Web Summit and present whatever projects merit that distinction and that prize. So the whole country will be mobilized to innovate, to create in tourism over the next 11 months. Not only that, in our schools, we'll launch a tourism innovation factory that will stimulate our students that are in our tourism school to do the same. And these are initiatives which are open to partners from the whole ecosystem. So this also means you talk to us if you think you have a great idea to make the Web Summit a great event. And of course, at the Web Summit, unlike this year's edition, there will be, as you know, the Web Summit has, I think, 21 different summits within it, where most of the interesting talks take place, by the way. And none of those 21 says Travel Summit. It will in 2016. Okay? So the Web Summit will be a huge opportunity for the tourism sector to affirm itself and for Portugal to position itself as the hub for innovation in tourism. And not just in technological innovation, innovation in a global sense. This was what I wanted to say about the Web Summit, and I'm free afterwards to explain a bit more of what we're trying to do. Closing remarks. For those of you that remember this morning, right. Those of you remember this morning, I told you that I was not going to talk about how to innovate. That's not possible. It's not even very logical. But I was going to give you a few pointers. And basically, one of the things I would like to, and I ended with, was that I was going to show you where the money was. Right? Now, and I said that I wouldn't say much about it, except that it was somewhere in the brain. But to explain to you what I mean about this, And I apologize, I'm going a bit off topic for about 5 minutes, okay? If I go for more than 5 minutes, call me back to reality, right? To explain what I mean by the money is somewhere in the brain, I have to start from the beginning. And when I say the beginning, I mean the beginning, okay? Let's go back to the beginning of time, or at least time in this universe. This universe started 13.7 billion years ago. A lot of things happened that we don't remember. Well, most of us don't remember. Galaxies, Earth, etc. Dinosaurs became extinct, and you may wonder, where's humanity? Where's humankind? Where do we appear? Will we appear somewhere right on the right corner there? Can't even see, I have to zoom this. Okay? So we started, don't forget, 13.7 billion years ago. We don't even show you the picture. If I want to show us in a picture, I can start 5 million years ago. So it's right at the edge of the previous slide with hominids. I can't even say Australopithecus, right? And we as a species, the Homo sapiens 80,000 years ago. To give you an idea how late this is, if the whole history of the universe was a day, hominids, these 5 Australopithecus, would have appeared at 30 seconds to midnight. And Homo sapiens would have appeared half a second before midnight. Remember this figure, because this means that we have evolved a lot, the whole universe has changed, a lot of things have happened, but Homo sapiens has not had the time to change that much. We have not had the time to change that much. Building universes and changing and evolution takes time. You also remember this. I told you that in all systems there are defining moments when things change. Perhaps it's a gradual change and then it changes quality. Like a match striking the matchbox, temperature rises, and there's a moment where the tip of the phosphorus at the end of the stick becomes a flame. It changes quality. This defining moment, this moment of truth, takes place in the brain. In every business, it takes place in the brain. This way it changes. You talk to consumers, you talk to people, and there's a moment where it changes. And the real moment that you need to control and understand is where the people make a decision. The consumer makes a decision. And that decision concerns you. It's a decision that says, I have 207 territories and countries in the world to go to. I decide to go to Portugal. Why? I have a business. Why? I have a business. I'm trying to sell something. There are competitors. There are choices. And at a certain moment in time, they chose your service, your product. Why? Did you put the batteries right? Yes? Are you in engineering? It now moves. And this is true even in brains which are a bit special, okay? So I was here, this is okay. We got our Bart Simpson, right? Bit of a joke. Now we understand a lot more about brains these days than we used to 10 years ago, let alone 25 years ago or 30 when I was studying. We know where things get processed, where things get decided. It wasn't always like that. Plato, a few thousand years ago, used to say that this is a person. Reason is in a chariot, and reason has to control 2 very wild horses, the soul and the body. Right? The body has desires, very wild, as you all know, and the soul also has emotions, very wild to control. So the person who used to be seen as somebody tried to control these wild horses and reason would prevail. But Plato was right about a lot of things, but certainly not about this. This is a slide that you should remember, the only slide that is anything remotely serious about this presentation. And I, on purpose, put the the title of an important scientific article of 2005 by Colin Cameron and his colleagues, Neuroeconomics, How Neuroscience Can Inform Economics. This is a game changer. Okay? And what is Colin Cameron basically saying? And it's a lot different from what Plato was saying, certainly. He's saying that there are two axes in which we should look at brain behavior. One, vertical here, if you remember or don't remember it, if you are conscious or unconscious of the mental process, and what type of processing is taking place. And mostly thinking, rational if you like, or mostly feeling, or emotionally affective if you like. And with these two axes you can construct, like any good consultant, you can construct a quadrant, or a group of quadrants. Now, I could go into detail on the conference, I won't bore you with that, but I want to stress a few interesting points about this. First, when we're talking about the thinking part, these two quadrants 1 and 3, thinking, when we think, what we do is we define intention. We decide to do things. But when we talk about feeling, the effective part, we motivate it to do things. So one thing is to decide to do something, the other thing is actually to change behavior. Right? Important distinction here. Another very important point, and this is, all of this, if you have the patience to go through the article, it's only 50 or 60 pages long. It's all based on actual studies like this, latest brain imaging technology, is that the brain tends, whenever possible, to move into quadrants 3 and 4. Now, if you don't believe me, think about driving. How much do you think about driving? How about you use your feet, your hands, your eyes? Very, very little. But remember the first time you tried to drive. Your brain went into overdrive. You were sweating. You didn't know what to do. Every single action you were thought about. You were already thinking about it. But the brain thinks that's too much energy being spent. It's not efficient, so it learns. It gets automated and pushes you down. So whenever you get at ease, and remember the Leonardo example, Da Vinci example in the morning, the more you repeat stuff, the more it comes into automatic. This is good because you don't spend too much energy, but it's also bad because that's where the comfort zone lies. It's very difficult to get out of your automatic zone. Okay? Third important interesting fact, decisions are holistic. This has also been tested. There's nothing that the brain decides to do when it turns into behavior that does not involve in some way a combination of all 4 quadrants. Some more than others, obviously, but they're all involved, sooner or later. So this is almost common sense. There's no decision which is purely rational or purely emotional. That's basically what it means. And fourthly, this is why I told you the story about the human evolution. At this stage of our evolutionary process, now, only 80,000 years after we appeared as a species, our brain is wired to function in quadrants 2 and 4. I think I made a mistake here. It's 2 and 4. It's no feeling side. It's 2 and 4 rather than 1 and 3. We are wired to work on the feeling side. I'll repeat that. We as a species are wired to work on the feeling side. So why am I stressing this in a room full of people which are entrepreneurs, who use their brains and their rationality for a living, who want to make sure that they are very intelligent and wise and informed people and use their rationale to take their decision? Because you don't. Whatever you think is rational is nothing but the brain trying to explain what it decided to do. There's an amazing example in this article that can be proved that you have taken decisions before you were conscious that you took a decision. So it came from somewhere else. And of course, if you ask quadrant 1 why the decision was taken, what is quadrant 1 going to say? It's going to say that it has some rational reasons to do it. And it probably does, but they're probably not the most important ones. Our brains are wired so that feelings are much more important than reasons and rationality. Now this is us, this is our physiology, this is our history, it's our human nature. Okay? This is not just theory, as I said in the morning, it's practice also. Okay? And I'm not even going to bore you with the difference between left and right brains, which is amazingly important for business decisions. I'm just going to say that all this turns into a new type of science called neuromarketing, which basically tries to understand how this functioning of the brain affects the way we perceive brands, perceive choices in a business environment. Finally, connection to tourism. We heard a lot of brilliant examples this morning of startups with their pitches, of incumbent companies describing what they do. In the light of what we've just heard, go back to what you've heard, think about what you've heard, and tell me if the emotional, effective content of the decisions and the business models that were explained were sufficiently stressed. When we talk about the local touch that is important in the sharing economy and local logic, what do we mean? Why is local touch so important? Is it really a rational decision? Do you believe people when they say, I chose an apartment because I like the local touch? I know this is what they're saying. I know that this is what they mean. But is it the whole truth? Local touch. What do they really want? What are they really buying? In other words, what are you really selling if you're in that business? And I can guarantee you, it's not the local touch they're talking about. It's something deeper that has to do with a lot of the evolution that we talked about before and the way the feelings affect our rationality. So everything that you will decide to do in your businesses, this is my only real message, everything will have an emotional content, an effective content. And it will be a good business, will be a profitable business if you understand this correctly and you understand what it is that you're selling, and more importantly, what it is that your customers are buying. Regardless of what they say, go deeper. So at each stage of this life cycle, travel life cycle, ask yourself, okay, the dreaming stage, people are getting inspired. Why? What is it actually inspiring them? Is it a memory from the past? A wish to provide their family with a good holiday, because that's what they think a good parent is? Or perhaps they're feeling guilty because they don't spend enough time with them that they have to have a very expensive holiday? What is it, even at the dreaming stage? And when you plan, okay, you have a business, you're providing them with great planning tools. We've heard a few very good ones this afternoon. But are you, for instance, think that you're only providing convenience, saving time? What is it really that people are thinking, are feeling, when they choose one booking site instead of another? Could it be that the fact that I'm booking in the most popular platform mean that I'm afraid of being the only one booking in another platform and I want to be the one left out? Is there a group effect here? I'm not sure about this. I'm sure there's an issue here. And I could go on. When you experience and explore the actual trip, when you share it, what are you doing? When you share a picture of you on the edge of Niagara Falls, why do you do it? If you understand that reason, you can have better products for that lifestyle. I can go on about this for hours, but again, I won't. Final slide, final message. The only real truth about having a successful business and not wishing or even being able to be normative and directive about innovation, I cannot do it, I will not do it. The only thing that is true is that if you want to be profitable, if you want to be successful, pick your customer's brain. Understand exactly what they want. Ask them time and time again. Don't just hear the words that they will reply, understand what they mean. If you don't take anything else away from this afternoon, take this, and we'll have in the Turismo de Portugal a partner, a sparring partner in front to understand what customers really want. Thank you.
Thank you. So I'll be fast, not 20 minutes like in the agenda. So just final words and picking on what João says. So Yeah, I think the startups is really about building solutions for and things that people love. Lately, a lot of times when we are judging and analyzing startups, more and more the bling factor is more important than a lot of quantitative analysis, and so it's very easy to understand when you come to a great idea. So I think it's a great thing. So everyone should incorporate that, and that a lot of times your emotion, your gut feeling tells you a lot about what is the right and what is wrong. So today we had a great day. I'm really happy. I think we talked about a lot of things, and we have the right ingredients to make this happen. And I think now with everything that we achieved so far, and with what we want to achieve, especially the next year with the Web Summit, we are in a unique opportunity, especially for Portugal. And I think for being really truly an international hub, we have to really increase the pace, accelerate the pace, because things like the Web Summit and this uniqueness of thinking happen at the same time is not so common. So you really have to take these opportunities, because some of them don't happen twice. And so I feel that the stakes are high. I feel the pressure, and I like the pressure. And but also coming to what João is saying, because a lot of the things that the reasons we act is a lot of feelings and unconscious things. A lot of times we react unconsciously to things, and those are the barriers that don't allow us to achieve what we want. So a lot of time we talk about tourism. A lot of times we've been trying to have a great city full of tourism, and now that we have a city full of tourism, people complain. A lot of times when we achieve the things that we are trying to achieve, then we feel a reaction to change. We feel left out. We feel small things triggering inside of us, feeling that we are maybe less important or whatever. But things are changing. I would like it was before. Things are evolving, so we have to adapt and really have to make things in a better way. So what I would like to tell you is that startups are part of that solution, and I think it's great that we have partners like the Turismo de Portugal and so many other partners that I would like to thank you. And I think in the panel about the sharing economy and Jasper talked about it. It's not common that such different players that could be competitors also can agree, and they can see in these changes and this complexity opportunities to collaborate, because most of the innovation, and especially the value creation, and I think this is the biggest challenge that we have now. It's not only creating really good things, but it's how to really create value, real value in the economy, is by collaborating, and so that's very important. So my last words are to Turismo de Portugal. Thank you very much for this partnership. Also like to thank Airbnb for this great partnership, and also for Pestana that also hosts us here. And next year, I hope that in 1 year we are doing this Tourism Day, maybe at the Tourism Summit, at the Web Summit. It will be a great thing. And then we also are able to contaminate the rest of the country with region accelerators and really spread the word, and that we can consolidate an international positioning. And that most of the startups that are here, that are more and more, they see that the value proposition of Portugal is credible, that they stay, and that we can build great business out of Portugal. So thank you very much. Thank you all the speakers that came, and the investors. And especially a big thank you and congratulations for all the startups that speak here today. Like Bashar said, this seems easy, but it isn't. It's very challenging to be an entrepreneur. And finally, thank you for Red Eye, because we have a great team and another great event. So thank you so much.